not cold enough out for a hoodie. I do have a long sleeve on, so it's not that bad, but I'm sure while I walk, I'll continue to get warmer. So what is up, YouTube? We're back on Monday, December 9th, for episode 2 of Vlogmas. I figured today was actually a really nice day, and I've been wanting to do this for a while, so I figured I'd go on like a little walk that we have, because kind of behind where we live in the barracks, there's a ridge line of hills. I'd never actually walked through and really kind of enjoyed them, kind of like to take in the scenery, so I figured that I'd take you guys along with me. I'll look at the cool things that we got here in 29 Palms, or at least the things that I enjoy. As you can see, there is not a cloud in the sky right now. It's really windy out here, so I'm sorry for this audio. It's gonna be all messed up by this wind. I figured today I'd go on this walk, take you guys along with me, and show you a little bit of some views that maybe we can go get. I'm most definitely not wearing the right shoes. I don't have a whole lot of other shoes. I have my Vans that I walk in, and then I have Vans that I skate in. Full sends only, I guess. I don't think it should be too bad. There's just a lot of soft sand right now that I'm walking through. But eventually the pathways will get a little bit more harder, a little bit more rocky, and it shouldn't be too bad. So, not gonna lie, the walk up here was a tiny bit more challenging than I thought it was gonna be. I started to get pretty hot because I'm dumb and wore a long sleeve and pants. The wind was going pretty crazy. Behind my camera right now, I kind of have like this wall of rocks because the wind is coming in this way. So hopefully it won't be too bad. It's weird because while I'm walking and I'm kind of just in my own head thinking and looking and observing, I'm always thinking, I'm like, man, like why don't I go out and do this more often? And then I start to actually walk and I'm like, damn, that's why. Honestly, once you're done, once you get to the top, once the hard part is over, it's all really worth it, because the view from up here is just absolutely amazing. It's the things like this that I truly like to take in, because I mean, just look at behind me. I mean, it goes on for miles, and I know that the camera lens will never be able to do that justice. And I know everyone knows what I'm talking about. For example, on a night where the moon is very full, it's nice and bright, and it's beautiful, and you're like, man, I would love to get a picture of this. And you pull out your phone, and you raise it up to the moon, then it's just this tiny, disgusting, white, blurry dot, and you're like, well, crap, there goes that photo. But from what's around me right now, the view is really amazing. And this is the kind of stuff that I genuinely love to do. And actually, it's the reason that I started my YouTube channel, actually. And I was thinking to myself one day, I want to be able to film cool things and share those cool things. I also talked about this in the A Little About Me video. You guys can go check that out and kind of watch that and get a little bit of context for what I'm about to talk about. But when I was in Japan, I got my PADI dive license, and that's when I had made my first YouTube video with my GoPro, where I just filmed the fishes and like a little bit of the coral reefs that we were underneath. And that's when I started thinking, I was like, man, like, this is really fun. This is something that really interests me, and I want to get into it. Making the trips like this and going out and doing stuff like this, it's almost like a little bit of an adrenaline rush, honestly. And I'm a huge adrenaline junkie. I love just doing crazy fun things. Like, two things that are on my bucket list, that one of them I was able to scratch off in Okinawa was go diving, and the second is go parachuting and just jump out of planes. That stuff is so fun to me. And I have been indoor skydiving, which I know does not amount to the actual thing, but that's where I got my first taste for it, and I was like, this is sick. I would love to do this. Slowly working my way out to that. Me, personally, I'm a huge hippie, and I've always loved nature, and doing things like this really makes me feel connected in a way to nature. And so when I go out and do things like this, like make it to the top of the hill or go down on the shore of a beach or kind of just sit in the middle of some trees in the woods, I always just really get relaxed, and I start to think to myself about what is around me, and I feel really attached to nature and all, and like it's kind of like a very surreal feeling. It's very calming. It's always in those moments that I just feel completely relaxed, and I just think to myself, like, this is great. Everything in this moment right now is really great. No matter what is going on, I just feel always really calm in that moment, and I really like that. I feel recently I'm like super hippie because last night I actually watched a documentary on Netflix just called Woodstock, and it was explaining basically about everything that went into the making of Woodstock, how Woodstock came about, and then how Woodstock was kind of made into a real thing, and then afterwards the entire performance over the course of 4 days, where it truly defined an entire era. I've always liked older music. I grew up listening to older music, and I just love music in general. Watching this documentary, I started listening to a bunch of songs. I was like, hey, I know that song. Oh, I have that song on my phone. Let me listen to that. And I started just like really getting into a lot of this music. So I actually started downloading a bunch of music that if I hadn't already had it on my phone, I started downloading a bunch of music and making a playlist full of some artists that had gone to Woodstock and then other artists just from that time era. I actually named some. I named my playlist Aquarius Exposition, which is what the original name for Woodstock was supposed to be. I just think it's great for what that stands for. But to go down a quick list of the artists that are in this playlist, there's Buffalo Springfield, Bob Dylan, Deep Purple, The Doors, Traffic, Steppenwolf, Jimi Hendrix, The Beatles, Canned Heat, Mountain, Creedence Clearwater, Big Brother and the Holding Company, Janis Joplin, The Who, Jefferson Airplane, Johnny Winter, The Youngbloods, Richie Havens, Sly and the Family Stone, Joe Cocker. Started listening to all this music and I started just vibing out really hard because while I was watching the Woodstock documentary, I was just kind of thinking to myself, I was like, I would love to be in that era. And I tell all of my friends, everyone that knows me, I love the 70s, I love the 60s, and the thing is, what to me is crazy about that entire time frame, specifically from like 1965 to 75, is during that time it was the Vietnam War, and there was a lot of issues going on in the United States political wise, and there's a lot of racism issues. Looking back on 1968, which is considered the tumultuous year where just so much stuff happened, there was also so much good going on at the same time in my eyes. There was a lot of political revolution, which I guess kind of can go back and forth on the scale of good and bad. To me, it was good because of all the changes that were happening and the kind of community that it grew amongst people that wanted change. And then in general, music was, to me, at an all-time best. People were just vibing. Music was probably the biggest thing that brought people together, which is what Woodstock was all about, and I love everything about that era. Watching the Woodstock documentary, I was just totally geeking out. I guess somehow how all of this weaves together is just me being a giant hippie, watching the Woodstock documentary, walking on top of this giant hill, and then just looking out in nature, looking out over this desert that's in front of me, and just thinking, this is beautiful. So this is now overlooking 29 Palms as a whole. I live in those white buildings right over there. To the left of that is the rest of 29 Palms. As you can see behind me, this place just keeps going. There's nothing but desert. And I say that in the most lighthearted, optimistic kind of way. And a lot of people will be like, man, like 29 Palms is just a desert in the middle of hell. And you know, I guess some people are right. There's a lot of desert around us. It gets really hot in the summer, but for me, I don't know, I guess I'm just weird. I really enjoy all this kind of stuff. I enjoy everything that's out here. And right now, this is kind of just a small sneak peek of really what's around here. There's a lot more out there that I cannot wait to explore. And that is another reason why I have really big plans for this van that I want to get. I love camping just as much as I love nature. They go hand in hand, being able to camp out in nature. And so I can't wait to get this van and be able to go on road trips with some friends and go on camping trips and just enjoy all the beautiful things that are out there. I'm enjoying this a whole lot, and I hope that you guys are enjoying it just as much as I am. Thanks for watching and coming along on this little nature walk that we have here. Thanks for tuning in for episode 2 of Vlogmas. And put down in the comments what you guys might want to see for episode 3, or even in the future if it comes to more camping trips and more nature. Just let me know down in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Relentless right now. Oh. That could have been worse than it was. This wind has no mercy right now. My hair. The wind is wild.